What would human life actually feel like if every trace of fear were removed from your mind? Our immediate instinct is to accumulate. We amass wealth, we pursue status, and manage our health, hoping that if we control enough variables in the outside world, we can keep loss and death at bay. But ancient Indian texts, specifically the Mokṣopāya, observe a fatal flaw in this strategy. Attempting to manipulate external circumstances to achieve internal peace is a rigged game. There will always be another variable. This creates a psychological trap. Texts like the Mandukya Karika and the Astavakra Gita identify a condition called Mokṣadeva Vibhishika. We claim to want freedom, but we actually harbor a terror of liberation itself, recoiling from the very state of fearlessness. The anxiety we feel does not originate in our physical environment. We cannot defeat fear by rearranging the world, because the terror is generated by the internal lens through which we are viewing it. The sage Vasiṣṭha provides a direct diagnosis for this condition. The root of all human terror is not physical danger, it is Avidyā, a fundamental ignorance. This ignorance operates through a specific mechanism. The mind observes the physical body, sees that it is vulnerable to injury and decay, and falsely identifies itself with that fragile shell. This false identity is the ego. Once established, the ego generates endless vasanas, latent cravings and anxieties. Vasiṣṭha describes this craving as a poison, and the mind as a serpent. The prescribed cure is aggressive. One must take up the sword of wisdom and sever the root of this ego sense. We spend our lives fighting external threats, but the text insists the outside world is largely irrelevant to our suffering. We have to dismantle the internal architect of the illusion. To dismantle that architect, the Mokṣopāya introduces a concept known as Atyanta bhava. It argues the objective universe we fear so deeply is an absolute non-existence. It doesn't exist. To illustrate, the text uses the Kakataliya metaphor. A crow lands on a branch, and instantly a coconut falls. The mind instantly draws a line of cause and effect, assuming the crow caused the fall, but the events are completely independent. Vasiṣṭha applies this principle to the entire cosmos. There is no overarching creator god designing these events. There is no inescapable fate. The world appearance is simply a spontaneous, uncaused vibration of consciousness. If cosmic design and inescapable fate are nothing more than mental projections of causality, then the anxiety we feel about what is meant to happen has no basis in reality. To understand the weight of this position, we can compare it to later Advaita Vedanta. Advaita argues the world is a mistake in perception, like looking at a rope and thinking it's a snake. The Mokṣopāya argues the world is like the son of a barren woman. It is a logical impossibility. The Astavakra Gita reinforces this stance. It states plainly that there is no illusion in the physical environment. The mind itself is the ignorance, and the mind alone projects the universe. Scholars note this mind-only framework mirrors Buddhist Yogacara philosophy, echoing arguments in the Lankavatara Sutra. But there is a crucial distinction. Where Buddhist texts direct the practitioner towards shunyata, or emptiness, the Mokṣopāya frames the ultimate reality as Brahman, a luminous, pure, and self-aware consciousness. And unlike the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, which prescribe physical austerities to reach this state, the Mokṣopāya relies on vichara, rational inquiry into the nature of reality. While their theological definitions of reality differ, these traditions converge on one point. They identify the liberation of the mind from its own projections as the prerequisite for peace. Philosophy is easy in a vacuum. How does this framework hold up when confronted with the viscering physical reality of human death? Vasiṣṭha teaches that the physical body is an insentient shell. Because it lacks inherent consciousness, it is incapable of experiencing suffering or death. When a person appears to die, it is simply the ego shifting its mental conditioning to a new form. The text compares this to a monkey abandoning one tree to immediately jump to another. The true self, referred to as chit, is pure consciousness. Because it was never born, it cannot be cut, it cannot be burned, and it cannot be killed. Realizing the indestructible nature of your own consciousness annihilates the fear of death. There is nothing real within you that can die. If a person internalizes this and eradicates fear, what does their everyday life look like? The Mokṣopāya and the Tripura Rahasya describe this state as Jivan Mukti, living liberation. This is not about retreating to a mountain cave. True Vairagya means remaining active in the world, fulfilling daily duties, while operating with unattached joy. In this psychological state, the turbulent waters of thought are dried up. The limited, individual ego dissolves into the light of the universal self. True fearlessness is the realization that you are the screen, not the movie playing on it. There was never anyone to be threatened, and nothing real to be lost. Next time on episode 26, we will trace how the ideas of the Mokṣopāya echoed through history, shaping the later development of Advaita Vedanta.